Warm welcome to all. Yesterday class we discussed about triple W, that is World Wide Web, in one of the application of computer networks application layer. Today class we are going to discuss about the various protocols supports for application layer task. The first and very most protocol is HTTP. The expansion is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is used to communicate between web browser and web server and used to access the data on World Wide Web. The function of HTTP, or the combination of File Transfer Protocol, that is FTP, and SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. The HTTP is similar to FTP because it uses only one TCP connection, that is, the data is transferred between client and server. And it also uses SMTP. The messages are stored then forwarded to the destination, but the HTTP messages are delivered immediately. The HTTP uses the services of TCP, and HTTP itself is a stateless protocol, which means that the server doesn't keep information about the client. The client initializes the transaction by sending a request message, then server replies by sending responses. So we are using two messages, one is request message and another one is response message in this protocol. The protocol number to access the HTTP is 80. It is defaultly attached by the browser from the client machine and send it to the server. Here we are going to discuss about the HTTP operations. The operations requires mainly two components. One is client and another one is server. We are sending request with request message. The request message contains headers, then following that we are having some blank lines. Then after the blank lines, what other lines will be there, that will be considered as the body of the message. It will send to the server, then the server will respond for the request, then it generates response message. In that, the first field is status line, then following that header field, then blank line indicates the end of header, then body of the message. The next protocol is FTP. Compared to HTTP, we are using FTP for file transferring mostly. The expansion of FTP is File Transfer Protocol. It is very simplest and most secure way to exchange the files over the internet. We can transfer the file using HTTP, FTP, then SMTP. But FTP is a better choice to transfer large files or to transfer files using different formats. In FTP protocol is to enable the data transfer using TCP/IP. TCP/IP act as the backbone for HTTP and FTP operations. FTP can be invoked from the command prompt or some graphical user interface. It also allows to update, delete, rename, move, and copy files at a server. It uses a reserved port on 20 or 21. When we are using the port number 20 and when we are using 21, because the FTP having different components for its operation. FTP client has three components: user interface, client control process, client data transfer process. Likewise, the server has two components: FTP control process and server data transfer process. The control connection is made between the control process and data connection is made between data transfer process. When we are using control connection, for sending the control information like user identification, password, commands to change the remote directory, commands to retrieve and store files, etc. FTP makes use of control connection. The control connection is initiated with the port number 21. When we are using data connection, after establishment of control connection, for sending the actual file we are using this data connection, it is initiated with the port number 21. The diagram shows how the FTP client and the server will initiate and do the operation. In client side already I said we are using three components, then server side we are using two components, then first two control process or initiated, then we transfer the file using data transfer process after establishing the data connection. FTP connections are of two types, one is control and another one is data connection. Control connection uses very simple rules for communication. Through control connections we can transfer a line of commands, then the control connection is made between only the two processes. The control connection remains connected during the entire interactive FTP session. Data connection, after establishment of control connection, it has a very complex rules as data types may vary. Then the data connection is made between the data transfer process. The data connection opens when the command comes from files and closes the connection when the file is transferred. Then the next protocol is electronic mail. We are all using mails because it is very fast and makes our life easier. In conventional mailing system, the processing time was indefinite. When comparing both the systems, there is a drastic difference. The mail could be delayed unpredictably in some of the unusual situations. So knowing how the mail system works is very important to all the mail user. However, most of us are unaware of what's going on behind the scene. The term email stands for electronic mail. It was introduced first in the year of 1960s. However, it became available in the current structure in the year 1970s only. There are three different types of protocols used in emailing system. One is IMAP, POP, SMTP. IMAP stands for Internet Mail Access Protocol. This protocol is used while receiving an email. Which one uses IMAP? The emails will be present in the server, not get downloaded to the user mailbox and deleted from the server itself. This helps to have less memory is used in your local computer and we need more memory in your server because the server only maintains all your mails. It is not downloaded to your local system of the user. So that's why it requires more memory on server and need less memory in your local computer. The next protocol is POP. POP stands for Post Office Protocol. This protocol is also used for incoming emails, but the main difference of your POP and IMAP is in POP, the entire mail is downloaded to your local computer and deletes the data on the server once it is downloaded. So we need more memory in your local, need less memory in your server side. The current version of POP protocol is POP 3. The next protocol is SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. The email is sent using this protocol. So among these three protocols, IMAP, POP will take care of the receiving mails and SMTP is mainly used for sending the mails. By seeing this diagram, how the email will work. First of all, you are sending any of the mail, then you are act as the user. You are act as the sender. So you are sending the mails from your system to your friend mail. For that, the mail server is a computer application that receives the incoming emails from the local user as well as remote sender and forward outgoing emails for delivery. A computer having such an application installed can also be called as mail server. Here the diagram shows that we are using two mail servers. The two mail servers which are used for outgoing emails are called MTA, that is mail transfer agents. The other two mail servers used for incoming using POP3 or IMAP protocol are called MDA, that is mail delivery agents. DNS. The expansion for DNS is domain name system. With the help of this DNS only, we can identify the receiver's IP address. The DNS is used to find out the mail server of the receiver. The information is retrieved from the DNS and the email message is sent to a particular email address. First, the sender needs to send an email address of the recipient along with the message using email application. This should be done at the local computer only. So once it is finished and send button is clicked, the email will be going to the MTA, that is mail transfer agents. This communication is done with the help of SMTP protocol, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. The next step is we have to look up the DNS. With the help of DNS, we should identify the receiver's IP address. The system sends a request to find out the corresponding MTA of the recipient, that is mail transfer agent. So this will be done with the help of MX records. Then MX record is mail exchanger record. In the DNS zone for the receiver address domain, there will be an MS records. This is a DNS source record which specifies the mail server of your domain. So after the DNS lookup, a response is given to the requested mail server with the IP address of the recipient mail server. So this way the two mail server is identified, that is an recipient mail server is identified. The next step is transferring the message between mail servers. The SMTP protocol is used for this communication. Now we are sending our message to the recipient through the MTA, that is mail transfer protocol. Now the message is transferred to the mail delivery agent, then it is transferred to the recipient local computer. Then the two protocols can be used here. If we use either POP3 to download your entire message to the local computer, then we can see. Then the copy of this one is deleted from the server. Or we can use IMAP. You can view your message from the server itself. We are not downloaded it to the local computer. So this is the way you are sending the mail from one machine to another machine. If any problem or any error occurs for sending or getting the mails, then automatically again the mail is bounced back to the sender. The mail is always in a mailing queue and then it is dispatched to the corresponding recipient. The next one is Telnet. Telnet is a telecommunication network. Then it is a networking protocol best known for Unix platform. Telnet uses the port number of 23 and was designed specifically for local area networks. Mainly in our Unix lab we are using this Telnet. So Telnet is famous for being the original internet when the net first launched in 1969 and was built to be form of remote control to manage the mainframe computers from distance terminals. In those original days of large frame computers, Telnet enabled research students and professors to log into the university mainframe from any of the terminal in the building. It means that we are having an one Telnet server. From that all the client machines or act as the dummy terminal because everything is controlled only with the help of server. So it follows the architecture of master slave concept. It allows a user on one system to log into a remote system. Then it establishes the connection of remote system in such a way that local terminal appears to be a terminal at the remote system. Telnet is not a secure communication protocol because it doesn't use any security mechanism and transfer the data over the network or internet in a plain text form, including passwords. And so anyone can sniff the packets to get that important information. There is no authentication policies and data encryption techniques used in Telnet. So with the help of terminal driver, the operating system interacts with your application programs and to communicate to the remote login. In your remote machine itself, we are having the same thing. Then with the help of that internet, we can make the communication between one terminal to another. Then the next one is network virtual terminal. A universal interface called network virtual terminal character set. The telnet client translate our character that come from the local computer into NVT, then delivers them to the network. The telnet server translates the data and commands from the MPT and it is transferred to the form of remote computers. For that we are using a pseudo terminal driver for this translation. Then the next one is secure SIL, that is SSH. So it is one of the major internet communication protocol to access the network devices and servers over the net, and it was developed by SSH Communication Security Limited It is a program to log into another computer over the network, to execute commands in remote machines, and to move files from one machine to another. It provides a strong authentication and secure communication over insecure channels. And the port number for this SSH is 22 by default. However, it can be easily changed. SSH is a very secure protocol because it shares and sends information in encrypted form, which provides confidentiality and security of the data over an unsecured network such as internet. Once the data for communication is encrypted using SSH, it is extremely difficult to decrypt and read the data. So our password also becomes secure to travel on a public network. It also uses a public key for authentication of user accessing a server, and it is a great practice of providing as extreme security. It is mostly used in all popular operating systems like Unix, Solaris, Red Hat, the Ubuntu, etc. It protects a network from attacks such as IP spoofing, IP source routing, and DNS spoofing. An attacker who has managed to take over a network can only force SSH to disconnect. He or she cannot play back the traffic or hijack the connection when encryption is enabled. Tunnel connection established for providing the strong security. Securely executing the commands from remote locations, then TCP use dedicated port number for communicating the systems, then secure sharing of documents, the network admin login to server even from home network itself. So we are using two components, so SSH client and server. With the help of secured net, we are using this protocol. There are two versions of SSH. The first version flaws with some of the security issues, so that we are moving to SSH2 with the three components: SSH connection protocol, authentication protocol, then transport layer protocol. So that's all about the different protocols supports for the application layer. Next class we are going to discuss about the domain name system. It plays a vital role in networking environment. Thank you.